Alright, well, we left Squamish today. I filled up with gas. I topped up my tires with air. I had a shower and we were on our way. We've made our first stop. We're gonna go for a walk to a waterfall I've not been to in a long time, despite passing by here quite often. But it is a quiet day today here and the path is accessible. So it's a great opportunity to take Frank somewhere, and I'm going to be searching out a lot of these accessible places along our way. So yeah, let's go.
Look at how comfy you are. Hi, you're so happy with it. Yeah, a nice bed in here, bud.
So cute, bud. Go for a little walk. Go for a wheelie. I put on my hat today because I wanted to feel a little fancy celebrating this first day of our huge drive. So here you go, waterfall. So in this video, I'm actually going to be answering a bunch of questions about my trip north and time in the north. I have spent 2 summers up there when I was living in my minivan, so I'm really excited to return. I have some really interesting questions, and I'm looking forward to answering them as I drive east across BC. From here to the Kootenays, I need to go to my storage locker. So yeah, we're going to be doing a scenic Q&A as we cross British Columbia. All right, it has been a long journey to get here, but I have a replacement to my paddleboard that popped last summer. I am so excited to have the size board I intended to have, which will give us so much more buoyancy when it's me and Frank and gear, because I'm hoping to do some more paddle camping this summer. And right now I am waiting for the rain/thunder to stop so we can go out on the lake, because I am somewhere I really enjoy camping. I am making my way across BC. I left the coast today. I crossed over the Coast Mountains, and I'm going to spend 2 nights where I am because I've never actually gone out on the water here, and I really want to paddle across the lake to a waterfall. All right, good day. We were having a great time at the lake. I'm a little sore from last night's paddling, so we are in kayak mode. I have the seat on and the extra blade, and I've just found a spot to park in the shade because the sun is really intense. We had just an awesome morning in camp, also hiding in the shade and just enjoying the birds and the flowers and all of that. So yeah, I pulled over here to start this Q&A. So Patty asks, what inspired you to make this trip? Do you have hikes you're looking forward to? I went in my van in the summer of 2015. I was mushroom picking in the north with my friend Sierra, who is from the Yukon. And yeah, the mushroom season was coming to an end, and she was kind of like, you should come to the Yukon. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I just went, and I wasn't really planning on it. And I had a wonderful time. I met an amazing person there. We had a great time foraging, and I was doing some gill net fishing. And I really, really enjoyed the long days. But I got there just after the solstice. So I got there and the days started to shorten right away. I still had a month of of it not getting dark or so, but I wanted more. I wanted more. And yeah, so I knew that summer I would be back the next, and this time I was actually started planning a paddling trip from Inuvik to Tuktoyaktuk because at that time the summer road wasn't built. So the only way to get there in the summer was by water or by air, and I just really wanted that experience before the road was built and anyone could just drive there in the summer. So I started planning and preparing and researching and putting all the resources together, and I ended up breaking my hand, which sucked, and so I couldn't paddle. And yeah, that trip, the paddling trip wasn't possible, but I still went up. I spent the summer there. I had a great time, and ever since I've wanted to go back, and it's just been just a lot of life circumstances that have kept us from going. I spent 2017 climbing mountains, 2018 on the Pacific Crest Trail, 2019 on the Pacific Crest Trail, 2020, and yeah, van projects, painting, engine swap, all of that. So now we're here and we can finally go back up to the Yukon. The road is open, and of course I'm gonna drive it. I want to go have endless days. I want to experience the sun not setting, and I want to just spend a lot of time far north just enjoying the light, basically. So on the topic of what hikes I want to do, I've never been to Tombstone Territorial Park, so I want to do as much as possible there. Most of it I won't be able to wheel Frank, so I'll be leaving him in the van to snooze probably through the night and go on hikes by myself as much as I can do in the time that it's reasonable to leave Frank. And then I would like to spend some more time around Kluane National Park, and there's a mountain above Whitehorse. I think it's called Grey Mountain. I might be wrong. But in both my summer spent in a van in the Yukon, I never went up Grey Mountain. So I really want to do that because it just looks like nice rolling rock rambling. And yeah, I'm looking forward to lots of hiking. I didn't do a lot of research. I tend to just look into things as I go. Otherwise I just get too overwhelmed. So yesterday in camp was just an amazing day. I spent so much time on the water paddling, and now we're on our way. I just made a little side quest here to enjoy the balsam flowers because they bloom for such a short period of time. I saw some on the road and I knew there would be a bunch up here because I've camped up here before. So it's so gorgeous. And so yeah, it's really hot and there's thunderstorms about to roll in. So I got time for one question. Philip asks, edible plants you'll find along the way. I'm very excited for going north and foraging because that's where I really got super into foraging. I had, eaten some wild food and dabbled here and there as a kid, mostly berries and stuff. And then when I went north, I actually worked as a commercial forager. So there's going to be a lot of berries, especially blueberries and cranberries, and I hope to pick some fireweed and rose petals, which are things I can pick in other parts of BC. But yeah, I'm planning to do a bunch of foraging, drying, fill up my tea reserve, and do some canning. Camp canning, make some blueberry and cranberry jam, and maybe some other berries depending on what I find. I'll probably also pick some more coltsfoot. I have tons of Labrador tea, so I won't pick any of that. But yeah, I'm just gonna see what's out there and hopefully learn some new things. I like to always, learn a new plant or two every summer. And then over time, I just slowly build this knowledge base without ever stressing too much about trying to learn a whole bunch at once and just let it come. And, I might meet people and they might teach me something. So just staying open to what happens. But yes, foraging will be a big part of this trip. I almost always take 99 across BC because I love the drastic change crossing the coast mountains into this dry desert-like terrain where there's even cactus and rattlesnakes, and it's so neat to see how quickly BC changes. And before you can even get bored of this more dry terrain, you end up somewhere different yet again. It has been a very hot day driving across BC's desert, which has made stopping hard. Frank was very happy to get to this lake and cool off. I was able to park right next to our own tiny little beach. So we're just enjoying the shade and just passing a bit of time because I am on my way to spend a night with a family member. So I stopped and picked up some food on my way to bring for dinner. I'm trying to eat as much fresh stuff as I can because I just won't have as easy access to grocery stores up north as I do down here, which brings me to Bonnie's question. I'd love more details about stocking up on provisions, especially more about that last stop for fresh food that you mentioned in your video, i.e. what kind of veggies and how will you store them, etc. So this is a great question because it not only pertains to kind of remote off-grid van life or RV living, but also boat life, just rural living. There's a lot of situations where you want to be well stocked up and well prepared for whatever could happen. And that just takes like a little bit of strategy in terms of being able to eat the best you can with food that doesn't go off or, in my case, need refrigeration because I don't have a refrigerator. I'm going to be diving into this topic when I make that last stop to stock up on freshies. So it was nice to spend some time with family, and it's really nice in small towns this time of year because there's a lot of flowers. You get wildflowers, but you also get cultivated varieties, so it's nice just to go for an evening stroll and enjoy that. But I am here in the Kootenays now. Frank and I are camped at the lake where we actually rode out the heat wave a couple of years ago. A lot of this route across British Columbia is roads we've taken lots before. But if I'm in areas I've never been before, Amanda would love to know how you researched and came up with your route. So the first time I drove north to the Yukon, I was already down Highway 16, I think it is. I was already like way west of Prince George. So from there, like the obvious way to drive north was to continue up the Stewart Cassiar and not to backtrack many hundred kilometers to take the Alaska Highway. And so I know just, I guess, from growing up in BC that those are the two options, but a good way to go about it is to put your route on Google Maps on the desktop, and then you can drag the line around and it will pop onto like other routes than just the one it says. And so I always take the Stewart Cassiar and plan to take the Stewart Cassiar because it is a quieter, more winding road, a slower pace. The Alaska Highway is kind of like for people that are more trying to get A to B quickly. For like day-to-day navigation, I will be using my Backroads map book through northern BC, and in the Yukon, they don't have a paper map, but I got the app. So the same kind of information that would be in this book is on the app, and then you pay like a subscription fee to have access to that, and you can download maps for offline use. So unfortunately, I don't have a discount code for Backroads Mapbook, but I do have a link below where I earn a small commission if you shop from Backroads Mapbook. I have been using the paper maps for about 15 years. I love them. They're great. I made a whole video about how I use them to find places. And so they're an excellent resource. They're the #1 resource I recommend. And aside from that, I use Google. And then related, Bonnie also asks how I map out and strategize long stretches in the middle of nowhere between fuel stations. So if you go onto Google Maps, you can just type in gas stations, and gas stations in your area will show up, and you can change the map area for that. I have a rather large gas tank. It's 120 liters. So it can get me between 6 and 600 kilometers. So I just plan to fill up at 500. And you actually have to try pretty hard to drive that far without coming across a gas station. But quite often, not always, but quite often, there'll be a sign that says, check your fuel, next services, and then it'll show the distance. And you check your, like I reset the odometer every time I fill up. So I know how far I've gone on my tank so far, and then I just check if I can make it to the next gas station or not. But when I'm in more remote areas and gas stations are less frequent, I tend to just fill up often and stay more on the top end of the tank than to try to get as far as possible before filling up, because it just takes a few minutes and it could save a lot of hassle. So that's how I go about that. But with that said, it is time to take Frank for a stroll and enjoy this fine evening here at the park.
Obstacles, bud. We got obstacles. We can do it. Nice. Good job, bud. Okay, I'll do it. Oh, it's really light. Okay, one more, Frank, one more. And then you have to dry off, because look at, you're getting cold. The lake is cold, bud. Frank, we can't play fetch forever. We can't play fetch forever. Oh my goodness. Alright, that dinner was absolutely delicious. I cut the potatoes a little different than I normally do. I cut them like half moons. There is a half moon in the sky right now waxing, so I don't know if it made them taste better, but it was fun. But I am tired and I want to get as much nighttime sleep as I can, because I only have a few more days left that it's going to be dark out at night, and then it will just be light out all the time for months. And I'll just sleep when I feel like sleeping. But right now, I feel like I should sleep at night, and I'm tired. So I'm probably just going to go watch a movie. Anyways, first I'm going to answer some questions. I am rambling. You can tell I'm tired. So Pokies asks, when do you expect to be in Tuck? When I get there, I'm not disclosing the exact date or date range, just for my safety. Not that I think anyone in Tuck is going to try to harm me. But, you know, after that incident with that woman, it just really reinforced my whole desire to not disclose my current location. So if I tell you a date and time when I will be somewhere, then that's the same as disclosing my current location. Eternal Reverie asks, can you drive east or west from Tuck? No. The road just goes there, and then you have to turn around and drive all the way back. There's not many side roads at all. The entire length of the route, once you leave the main highway, the Dempster is the route. So yeah, it's a long way up and a long way down with not a lot of side quest potential. And on this similar topic, Elaine asks, Haida Gwaii bound? For those that aren't aware, Haida Gwaii is an island off the northwest coast of BC, so quite a bit north of Vancouver Island. I spent 5 weeks there in 2016 on my way south, the last time I went to the Yukon. And as much as I would really like to go, I haven't made any plans either way yet because the ferry is rather expensive. It's over $200 each way, and you have to book in advance. And I'm not great at planning, but also it'll just depend how I feel when I leave the Yukon and what I feel like doing. Okay, with that said, I'm gonna get inside out of the rain and tidy up and snuggle with Frank. So I got a few more questions about van preparedness and mosquitoes that I will answer tomorrow. Today has been a very long and tiring but productive and incredibly beautiful day. I got up much earlier than normal and drove about 2 hours south to my storage locker where I unloaded tons of stuff before getting a couple things that I think are going to make this trip really great. Things you've seen on my channel before but haven't been around lately. So you'll see those when I use them. And then after that, I had to pick up some mail at my P.O. box and renew my P.O. box, which was quite the process. It took a long time. And I had to also drive another 20 minutes into town to get another package there, as well as get some stuff from Canadian Tire just to kind of finish my prepping aside from food. Yeah, and then I turned around and I drove, 2 hours north to here where I crashed in the hammock with Frank. We're in a campground. I do not have the energy to try to find off-grid camping or whatever. The campgrounds are super convenient and beautiful, and because it's midweek, we can just roll up and get a site. So that's worked out very well. So I just kind of loafed around for a bit, and then Frank and I went for just a little walk to get moving, to build up some energy for dinner. Which brings me to the next question, which is mosquitoes. I'm their dinner. That's the correlation. That's the segue from energy for dinner to mosquitoes. Anyways, I had a whole bunch of questions about mosquitoes. How bad are they going to be? How am I going to prepare? I've talked in the past, as Cece brought up, about how I just kind of endure them, and if I'm expecting to do that now that I'm going north. And so, in my previous experiences in the Yukon, where I went up kind of like mid to late June and stayed through September, I had no really bad mosquito experiences that I can recall. I feel like I would remember if it were really bad. That said, prior to that, in northern BC, when I was commercial mushroom picking fire morels, had some of the most heinous mosquitoes, and because we were picking a wild food product, we could not wear DEET, and so the only option was to cover up, which was very hot because it's very hot out and the earth is black, so you're covered and still getting eaten, and you just have to endure it. And you can't even swat them because every time you swat is a mushroom you're potentially not picking, and you only have so much time in the day to pick mushrooms, and you want to pick as much as possible so you can make as much money as possible so you can enjoy time not working. So yes, I had grown very, very tolerant to mosquitoes, but I still decided to prepare quite well for this trip north, because I want to go where I want to go when I want to go there. And if the mosquitoes are bad, I'm not willing to run away. So I just want to be prepared so I can still relax and have a good time. So this is
This is Picaridin Insect Repellent by Sawyer, and I've carried this in my van for a couple years. I only use it like 2 or 3 times a year. It's a lotion, and I just would wear like clothes and then put around my hairline and neck and top of my hands. That works really, really well actually. Lasts up to 14 hours. Mosquitoes and ticks. So while I was in the US this winter, I picked up the same product only in a spray, as well as a head net. You can get head nets here, but I was just shopping at REI, so I was, excited for this trip. So I was preparing to get some things. As far as I know, these Sawyer products are not available in Canada, which is why I've bought them in the US. I also have one that comes in a big yellow bottle called Permethrin that's just really tucked away, but it's for spraying gear and clothing. So I'm going to be spraying my curtains with that to just like so that my doorways repel mosquitoes. And then I have these for my body and the head net if it's really, really bad. And then when I thought I was super prepared, this awesome woman, Kristen, sent me a message on Instagram. She lives in Inuvik, which is the town before Tuktoyaktuk, above the Arctic Circle, very far north. And she warned me that the mosquitoes are very, very bad, especially on the road to Tuk. And if you look at it on a map, you can see it's just low-lying like marshland and lakes, and it's like river delta. So she said to bring refills for my thermocell, which I had never heard of. So I looked into it and it seemed quite neat. So I bought this one. It's the Backpacker edition, and I chose this one because I can use it with the isobutane canisters that I use for my stove, which are metal and recyclable. And there were other options that took these non-refillable fuel cartridges or were battery rechargeable, but then the battery rechargeable one had like a lot of plastic in the like repellent pad. So then I got, of course, a bunch of refill repellent pads. So I actually used that when I was laying in the hammock. Here I had gotten about 10 bites setting up the hammock, and I fired it up, and about 10 minutes later there was no mosquitoes anywhere near us, and I had a nice nap, and Frank just chilled in his stroller, and it worked. So we're gonna save these for when they're the absolute worst, but I'm really hungry now, so I'm going to get a fire going. I bought some local asparagus, so I'm gonna cook that over the fire. We're all packed up. My van is very clean, probably the cleanest it has been in quite a while. And today is going to be our first full day of travel northbound, which is very exciting. It's, I guess, kind of the start of the trip, even though we've been driving a lot. And so I have one last question before we hit the road. And Jody Lee asks, extra precautions to your vehicle, how many spare tires? So it is generally recommended to take 2 spare tires for the Dempster. I've heard a lot of horror stories, a lot of double flats, even more. But I only have 1 spare tire, and it's big and it's heavy, and I just can't fathom having a second one on board. The only place I could put it would be on the roof rack, and I'm sure it'd be worth the effort if I really needed it, but yeah, it's not something I'm going to do. So I'm going to be traveling with one spare tire. That said, I have very, very good tires. They are 10-ply truck tires, fairly rugged tires for off-road driving. And I'm going to be driving really slow. I'm not going to be driving the Dempster in 2 or 3 or 4 days. I'm going to take probably a week each direction. I'm going to be going slow. I'm going to be dawdling. I'm going to be taking my time. So I'm about to keep a better eye on the road, hopefully choose better tire placements. I know that if roads are built with blast rock, they can be quite sharp. So I also have a tire plug kit. I have two actually and spare plugs because the tire plug kit I've had in my van for years. I don't know if it's still fresh and I didn't feel like digging up to check. So I just bought a new one with extra plugs. And I also have a compressor so I can blow up my tires if I need. And I'm experienced changing tires, so I'm not too worried about that. But as for the rest of my vehicle, I did a tune-up at the end of December before going south, so I trust that all that is fresh. I do have some extra parts in the back. Yeah, I've done a lot of other preparations just for myself, like my eye wipes, my eye drops, like things I need. I just stocked up beforehand for the whole summer, so pretty much all my amenities are stocked up. I'll just be getting gas along the way and then food. So yeah, it's gonna be great. It's been a little expensive to get prepared, to get everything set up to go, to get like everything I feel like I might need. But then as time goes on, it's just gas and food. So, and for a while, I won't actually be buying much food. I'm going to do a good stock up on my way up, and then hopefully it'll be a couple months before I get back down to Whitehorse and feel like going to the store again. So, yeah, I'm pretty stoked. It's going to be a great, great trip. It has been a great trip so far. I'm well on my way. It is amazing. I'm so excited to share with you the adventure I've had so far, the adventure I know is to come. I'm going to be working hard to get out videos a little bit quicker. It's just taking me a bit to get my feet under me on the road with so much driving. It is so far. But if you want to come along in real time, then please consider joining my Patreon. I have a link in the description below. We have a great community over there, just the kindest people. There's this new feature that I have gotten early access to. I'm one of 10 people beta testing, which is a lounge that allows people to chat with each other, and I try to check in there quite often. I also share sets of photos and stories a couple times a week with what I'm doing, so you don't have to wait for the videos to come out to see what's up. And there's a few different tiers, but it starts as low as I think about $250 a month, or you can save 7% if you do an annual where you pay for the whole year at once in advance, and then you don't have a whole bunch of different like payment charges each month. And then if things change in your life, you're still signed up for all this bonus content. I'm going to be dropping a new aerial video there soon. So if you're a patron, keep an eye out for that. And if you want more than just the updates, there's a couple other tiers where I do wallpaper bundles and things like that. So yes, huge thank you to patrons. Like I mentioned, this trip has been really expensive so far, and your support is making it a lot easier for me to do this, and has also allowed me over the past couple years with this channel to upgrade all my filming equipment so that I have a drone, so I have the GoPro to do the chariot cam and the paddleboarding footage, and this beautiful camera with these beautiful lenses that just bring me so much joy creating, and none of that would be possible without patrons. So yeah, something that I'm super stoked to be doing and engaging with my fan base there. So if you can't join Patreon, or you don't want to, that's totally okay. I have no expectation for you to join. Just watching my videos makes a huge difference because I do get paid through the advertisers when you watch. So thank you for watching. I totally appreciate the thumbs up and subscribing, and click the notification bell so that YouTube will let you know when I put a next video, because I'm not on a schedule.
but I'm super hyped on this trip. It is so great. So with that said, I need to finish editing this video and upload it so you can have just watched it like you did. Anyways, I hope you have a great day. I got a cute clip of Frank to send you off, and we'll see you soon.